Hello, welcome to this tutorial series of system design, object-oriented design, low-level design. I am Balasubramanian. Today we are going to look into an application called Truecaller, coming up with design for Truecaller. The competent applications are called Who's Call, Showcaller. They come under something called distributed phone directory kind of applications. They provide some basic functionalities such as caller identification, blocking certain callers, detecting the spam callers, store the contacts of users, and search for the users by phone number and name in global directories. So this is a distributed telephone directory. So we are coming up with we are going to look into how do we design this kind of application in this tutorial. As we understood what is this application, let's look into the use cases that we are going to look into. First of all, users should be able to register whenever they download the app. They should be able to register by providing their basic details. That's the first step. Users should be able to add contacts. After they have received, they should be able to add contacts, and those contacts get stored in the global registry and their contacts app as well. Users should be able to import contacts. There would already be a contacts app in their mobile phone or wherever it is. Uh, Once this app gets installed, they should be able to import all the contacts so that it is available in the global directory and it becomes searchable as well. There's a third use case. Users should be able to block the contacts. Whenever the user thinks that they need to block a particular number and they are not interested in receiving these kind of calls, they should be able to block a contact. Users should be able to report a particular number as a spammer. For example, if repeated calls are coming from some fake bank kind of calls, they should be able to report certain numbers as spam, and so that the others may get benefit when the number when somebody receives a call from this, and they can be very careful because these spammers will try to steal certain data by providing false information. So that is also an application for this, and this is one of the most useful use cases of this distributed directory. And users should be able to unblock the numbers as well accidentally if they have blocked, or if they blocked certain numbers for during certain period of time, and they should be able to unblock certain numbers as well. Whenever a call comes, users should be able to get notified on the suspected junk calls as well. It is not that a particular user only gets a notification of the junk calls based on the user's report, but since this is a distributed application, if person 1 reports, or if P1 to P10 people in different part of the state or different part of the country reports that this number is a suspected junk caller, the P11th person who is in a different part of the world or different part of the country should be able to detect that this is a junk caller. So that kind of thing is also a part of this application that we are looking into. uh, Users should be able to identify the caller as well. Usually the phone apps, whatever it comes in default phone, should be able to map the number to the name which it is stored in the local phone. So this distributed directory, what it helps is whenever somebody has stored a particular number with a particular name, it is available in the global directory. So whenever a ring comes and if there is an internet connectivity available, users should be able to detect the name as well. So that is also one of the use cases. Users should be able to upgrade to premium plans. There are certain plans which is available. So when users are in particular plan which is free plan, they will have limited functionalities. When premium plan, they will get additional functionalities. They should be able to upgrade it as well. Users should be able to search the contacts by name and number as well. Whenever a number is given, people should be able to type in the number and search in the global directory and find who the person is. Also by name also, user should be able to search in the global directory, and when it is available, it will be listed to the user based on the internet connectivity and the type of the user. If it is premium, users are allowed to search by name. the others are used can only search by number. These kind of plans also we should be able to make it happen as part of this application design. Users should be able to add business. For example, if they want to store other business details such as LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile, company website, and working hours. So if they would be able to store that, whenever somebody types the number, they should be able to get the opening hours, closing hours. It should be beneficial for people who are using the number. So whenever somebody dials a business number in half off business hours, the distributed directory will show that you are trying to dial a number where it is off working hour. So it would be really helpful for the user to know it. So that way we should be able to capture that as well. Post registration, all the users contacts gets exported to the global directory. People might say this might be a privacy invasion, but that's not part of this design aspect as well. This is a requirement, so the contacts become searchable as and when they install this application and import the contacts. Users should be able to search from the global directory whenever it is possible. Based on the number, they should be able to search. These are the requirements. I've used a particular data structure called Bloom filter. I want to give prompt credits to Guava's Bloom filter and Astra's Bloom filter. The one which is on the top, which is Orestes, sorry for my bad pronunciation, Orestes Bloom filter. They have a library which is on top of the normal Bloom filter, but it is also a counting Bloom filter. So, what functionality does it provides? On top of bloom filter we should be able to add and remove a number which is by default in bloom filter is not available. So I have used this Orestes bloom filter. Thanks to the person who has developed this library, it is really useful. We also as part of this design you should also be able to see what are the other options available when we are developing a distributed bloom filter. You can go and check into redis bloom filters as well. This is very useful use cases. Since we are going to develop an application which is going to run only in your particular local environment, we are using we are using local bloom filters with the library, but we can, when it comes to distributed systems, we can use bloom filters which are highly distributed, which is available as part of redis. I am not here to market for redis, but I felt that it is good to share that they have developed this bloom filter which is in distributed way, so that at any point of time if one node crashes, we should be able to get the data from the other place as well. So please go ahead and take a look into these two libraries. It would be really useful for your system design and the other coding perspectives as well. And these are the test cases that I have covered as part of the application development. We will look into these test cases while we run through our code. With this, we will directly jump to the code. As usual, we will first directly look into the models. After we look into the models, we will look into the operations which are happening on top of the models, and then finally we will run through the application from the driver code. Usually, it can be run by a unit test, but unit while we run unit tests as part of demo, it becomes very difficult for people to understand. So I've written a driver application. On top of it, we can write as many test cases on top of it as well. I recommend people to take the code and then write test cases on top of it and see. I have written a driver code to walk through because it would be easy for us to run and see the output. This is the approach that I have followed. So as we think through the application, what should strike our mind is uh, let us look into the use case first. Users should be able to register, so it means that user should have an account. We have to come up with account class. Users also should be able to add business, so the users will have some columns related some has some property which is related to business. It also you have users should have a phone number, which should be able to add phone numbers. Users has the LinkedIn profile or whatever profile it is or a website, they should be able to add. So suddenly these all things would strike in should strike in our mind, and we will start modeling users on top of this classes. This is how we need to think through it. So with that design, with that requirement in mind, I have come up with a class called account, which is an abstract class. Every account is identified by an ID. They have a phone number, they have a username, and they have a password. Last access is the time when the user is last active. Tag, let us look into what are these tags. So the user can be of the tag is they are can be associated with an education, they can be associated with entertainment and arts, finance and insurance, government and public services, health and wellness, hotel and accommodation, nightlife, drinks, services, shopping mall, legal, beauty. So I don't want to read through all these things. So the user can get themselves associated with it, or a business can themselves associated with these type. So whenever somebody calls, if we want to market ourselves as this kind of thing, so we should be able to get these tag names and associate ourselves with that. If he's a personal person, we need not get associated with a tag. So once we associate us with a tag, it would be easy for somebody to identify us if we are business. These all data I have got it from a sample application. So with that being said, let's look into what are the other properties. Contact. A user has a contact. So what are the fields which are available as part of contact? Uh, a contact will have a country code because we might be storing phone numbers. So many countries will have a 10-digit phone number format, or many countries commonly have 8-digit phone number formats. So we should be able to identify between two phone numbers from two different countries via a country code, and also a phone number and a email. So these are the basic three details which you want to store as part of a contact. Users will have a personal info. So what is in personal info? Users will be having their first name, last name, middle name, initials, date of birth. User can also store their gender, which is male, female, and transgender. Users will have address. So this is the global address format which I have been following for all the other tutorials as well. Let us revisit this. Address will have an address line 1, address line 2, line 3, street, city, state, country, pin code, or zip code, whatever it is. We might even have something called apartment number or whatever it is. But these are the basic details which we want to capture as part of the address fields. Users can have associate themselves to, if they are working in a particular company, they can have a company name, and they also can give a title which is Mr., Mrs., or whatever it is. I just have added this as a free flow text. So whenever we are initializing the personal information of an user, at least they have to provide one field. So that's why I have created a default constructor called no, I did not provide a default constructor. User have to initialize personal info with at least one argument, which is the first name. We must provide it. So with that, let us look into account. So we looked into contact, personal info. Let us look into the social info. As said, users will have social accounts. For example, user might have a Facebook account, user might have a LinkedIn account, user might have a personal website, or whatever it is. So these all can be stored because whenever a phone rings, if they can see the entire details as such, it would be really useful for somebody, or when they click who has called me, and when they click these details, it would be easy for somebody to navigate through the business and easily identify themselves to the business feel very comfortable to identify themselves with their site and other details, so that it helps in growing their business as well. So I have provided this social info as a class. So let us look into the social info. It will contain a string which is a social profile type. It can be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or website. So there is a small mistake. It's not social info, it's called social profile type. Okay, so we have to store the social profile type, and the value is the site name. For example, if the social profile type is Facebook, we can put the Facebook ID here. So this is stored as a map. So if we need to add additional social profiles, we can keep adding this enumeration and add to this. So there is unlimited values we can add. This is the idea behind this social. So business. So user, when they are registering themselves, they will identify as a user with a phone number, another thing. It can be a user or it can be an entity as well. If the user is an entity, they might want to provide additional details about their business. So what are the fields that we need to capture as part of the business? The business name, what type of business, so their company name, right, they can give. What's the description? They can be associated with a small one or two line of business. What is the tag? Is the same set of tag that we have used as part of the user as well. User can themselves identify as that person. For example, if somebody is working for a financial firm, they can identify themselves to a financial firm. And if it is a business also, we can use the similar categories. And if we want to add more categories, it is very easy just to add more category in this enumeration and associate it. So thereby we will be able to extend the different types of businesses as well. The next thing is they can identify their businesses with the appropriate business sizes. I have come up with these enumerations like micro, small, medium, large, and enterprise. Micro means 1 to 10, small means 11 to 50, medium means 51 to 250, large means 250 to 1000. Any business which has more than 1000 employees, these are all sizes based on the employees or the employment they gave. So these are the types of businesses that we have. They can have a appropriate business type. And next is the operating hours. So operating hours is a map. For example, we have 7 days in a week. On this day, what are their operating hours? So days is an enumeration which contains the days of the week, and the operating hours. So operating hours will have operating hours itself is a class. It has two properties, which is opening time and closing time. So how it will be useful whenever we are dialing, as I said, if we are trying to dial to a number which is a business number and which is outside of their office hours, we can easily get notified on top of it. Or if somebody is trying to call in off office hours, we can easily identify that somebody is trying to snoop in. So all these things are possible as part of this. So that is why we are storing the days and their operating hours in a map. The next is contact. Every business will have a contact. We can, as we looked into it, country code, phone, and email are the properties of contact. You business also will have a personal info like first name, last name, which is like the main person whom is in charge, or we want to associate some personal relationship officers, which are called PROs, or some service desk people. So those details can be uploaded or provided as part of this personal info for this business. And the business will also have a social info. So as I said, the social info will have a social profile type and the string. The business will have a website, right? So all these things. So users register, user can add their account without all these details, and if they want to identify themselves as business, users will have a field called business, and they can give all the detail about the business here. So everybody who is installing the app is a user, and business is something which is decorating the user and identifying the user as a business. Otherwise everybody is a user. As we looked into the account, the next is user type. So there are different types of users like free user, gold user, and platinum user. These are the categories. Probably you can use user category or user type as well. Probably I have used user type. We can rename it to user category. I think that makes sense at this point of time to me. I'll just rename it user category. So based on this, select all, and I have to say okay. Just give me a second. Mm, okay, so why do we need to identify the user by category? If it is a free account, we can restrict the user from performing certain things, and if they are paid, we can give more services to them. So this is what is the purpose of identifying the user by user category. And and every user will have their contacts, right? Because this is a distributed directory, it doesn't mean that every time whenever call comes you have to go to the global directory and search. First to find out in the local directory and find that who is that user, if they are in our contact, and show their name. Otherwise go to the global directory. So every user will have a map of contacts as well. The next is blocked contacts. So if a user will try to block a contact, and we have a we have used something called counting bloom filter, because as I told, bloom filters will not have a property, but the default bloom filters doesn't expose a property to remove an item from the bloom filter. It is like just addition to it. So I've used a counting bloom filter which helps us to remove the user as well, block the contact and unblock it as well. So add it to the bloom filter and get that appropriate number out of it. So it helps us to block as well as unblock. So this is where I used a counting bloom filter. We will see the implementation later, but I'm just sharing this for the information. So block this set, this is an internal thing which I have used. We will look into that, why did I use this as well. And also contact try, we use try data structure to search for the user contacts by name and number. For example, this is a contacts application, and if they are typing a number which is in their contact directory, they should be able to search by name and search by number as well. That's one part of the requirement. Also, there will be a global contact try, they should be able to search from the global contact try as well. But this try is for a particular user, so that is why it comes under account. With this we have covered what is that we have to, because what are the properties which we have to add as part of the account, we have covered as part of the accounts. Apart from this, we have some common, we identify certain class as part of common, which is like address, contact, gender, all these things, and then we did it. So the next class we need to look into is global context. So what is global context? Global context is, as said, we are designing a distributed phone directory, right? Whenever somebody adds, for example, I am storing a name, identifying that this is this person's number, and if that person dials to a different person who doesn't have their name, they should be able to find it, right? So we have to maintain a global directory. So I have maintained a trie. So why I am maintaining a trie? As and when I type the number, I should be able to search the suffixes, search all those numbers which are matching those prefixes, and also get all the numbers which are matching apart from that number as well. For example, if the number starts with a 99, I should be able to get all the numbers starting from 99, and it can be additional 8, another 8 numbers, right? Whatever suffixes which are come after that also we should be able to get. So which data structure which helps us to do all these things, this is called trie. Although we can touch base on tries as part of this tutorial, I don't want to cover the complete detail about try data structure. We can have a separate tutorial around it. So I've used a data structure called try to find or search by name and search by phone numbers. So can yeah, this tree will can a tree be used to store as part of system design, right? When you write this application, people might come and ask, in terms of system design, can a trie which is in memory can store 300 million users name and numbers? No, it is not possible. So that itself is another system design question altogether. We will cover as part of another system design how to come up with a distributed trie data structure, which will enable us to store millions of names and their email IDs, and we should be able to search them as well. We are not handling that scalability as part of this object oriented design at this point of time, but this is an interesting question to solve as well. uh, I just want to touch base on certain things which is important for you as you look into this video. There is a library which is written by LinkedIn, which is open sourced. You may go and take a look into distributed try implementation by LinkedIn, and then play with that. Feel free to play with that. With that being said, let us look into the other class, which is global spams. A global spammer is something like, if I am reporting a user as a spam, and if 10 other people or 100 other people report that this number is spam, then it means that the user, is a spam user. It's not that we are not going to decide the user as a spam user and display that user as a spam when I report it or when one person reports it. So we need to maintain a global spam list. For this also I have used Bloom filter. Bloom filters. So now, with since we have looked into Bloom filter twice, it is the nice time. It's the right time to look into what is the idea behind Bloom filter. Why did I use this Bloom filter? This also is part of some system design, but we have to understand this basic concept without going into too much detail about the entire thing about Bloom filter. So Bloom filters are memory optimized data structures. For example, take a look into Bloom filter article by Geeks for from Geeks for Geeks. They have written a beautiful article about Bloom filter, and they have also mentioned about the memory sizes which are used there. So assume that if there are 100,000 users, for example, one lakh in India or 100,000 users, this is the numbering system which are used across the world. They are spam users, right? And assume that we have 300 million users who are using our application, and if we have to ship that 100,000 users or 1 lakh users to 300 million users, how much data that we need to send? It is very huge. How do we optimize that and store it whenever a spam is reported in a sub in a very small memory space, and ship it across the wire to 300 million users, and which enable them to help identify whether the caller is spammer or not. This is where we use Bloom filter. Even Chrome uses Bloom filter to detect uh, suspicious sites. So, and Chrome is used by several hundreds of millions of users, right? And they cannot send uh, spammed sites. For example, there might be several hundreds of thousands of spammed sites will be there. So, and they have to ship it to everybody, right? It is very difficult. So, we have to use a memory optimized data structure, these are probabilistic data structures as well. So, when it can go and check whether the number is there or not. It usually gives the right answer, but there are sometimes it will say that the number exists but it doesn't exist. But the other time, when Bloom filter says that the number doesn't exist, it means that it doesn't exist. So it is like this. When there is a number which starts, assume like we are storing a list of names in the Bloom filter, right? Bala, that's my name, and some other names. I'm going and checking whether Bala is there or not. If it says that Bala is not there, it means it is certainly not there. That is the case that we can confirm. But it might say that Bala exists, but sometimes Bala doesn't exist. So that's why it is called probabilistic data structure. It may be, that's why if you see if you might have used any of this distributed phone directory, it will say that suspected junk color. It means that sometimes it may say that caller is a junk color, but they might not be. But if they say that, if the application doesn't say that it is not a suspected junk color, it means 100% sure that it is not a junk color. So sometimes there might be false positives that we need to understand, but take time to look into the Bloom filter implementation on your phone. We can have a separate tutorial around Bloom filter, but it is good for me to give an introspection of it. For memory optimization and sharing this data to all the users across the world, I have used this Bloom filter, and this is the apt data structure to store this blocked contacts, and apt data structure to store the spam contacts as well. We might should not be using hash map, because if we store that many values in hash map, it becomes very difficult for us to transport via network, and our applications will become bloated. Since we are designing application which will be used by mm, devices which are running on low network bandwidth, we should consider this as well. So that is with the global spam context. I think with this global contact, global spam contacts, we have come into looked into all the models which are associated as part of the application. As said, I have used a try. Whenever contacts get added, or whenever somebody is importing, a user is importing contact, I will add it to the try, insert it to the try, and it has methods such as search, get all words which are matching with the prefix, and the longest common prefix, count the number of children, and get suffixes. We can also delete as well as and when somebody removes their contact, deletes a contact, it should get removed from the tree. So we maintain two trees. One is the global tree, one is the local tree. Local tree will help us to search from the local contact list, and global, when it is not present in the local contact list, we can go and search in the global tree as well. This is how we have mapped our classes. With that being said, let's go into the methods which are getting exposed, right? So please pause the video at this point of time, go and revisit the models, download the code, and walk through it. Once when the models are very clear, we can go into the operations which are supported by the model. We I think we have user, right? A user extension account. Whenever user since account is an abstract class, user extends an account, and they will be we will be able to do all the operations on top of a user. So let us look into the methods, methods which are exposed by an account. The user should be able to register, they should be able to add a contact, they should be able to remove a contact, they should be able to block a number, they should be able to unblock a number. This is where we used um, the counting bloom filter. User should be able to report a number as spam. Users should be able to upgrade. Users also can check whether the number is a blocked number or not. Users can also check whenever a call rings, right, whether they can receive that number or not, right? That also we should be able to support. And then we have some methods called import contacts. Sorry, let us look into the register method first. The very first method is user should be able to register. What are the parameters that we are taking here? We are taking the user category. User category is a paid use, free user, or the type of it, right? So that is what we are looking to: free user, gold, platinum user. By default, it is a free user. uh, Name, we should have a username, we should have a password, we should have an email, which we should accept an email, right? Because it's an online account which we are downloading an app. We should capture the email, we should capture the phone number, and the country code, and the first name. These are the minimal details which are required to register the user. So since the user extends the user extension account, we are doing the set id. We can pass it to the super as well, but since this is not a constructor, I'm setting the id, category, username, password. I'm setting a contact, right? So contact contains a country code, phone number, and email, and the phone number and the email are set to the contact. The user's personal info is set. The basic detail required for personal info is first name, but there are other details like DOB and other things which we can store. Then finally, we are initializing the user category. If it is a free category, what is that? We told that there are different categories. We have some class called constant, which we have not looked into it, but we'll look into it now. It's good to discuss about that. For a user in free category, we are providing, we are enabling them to store 10,000 contacts, and they can block 100 numbers. This is the category that we are this is the service that we are providing. If they are gold members, they can store 100,000 contacts, and they can block 1,000 numbers. If they are platinum users, there is no limit. It is like very maximum number of contacts they can store, and the number of blocked contacts also is 100,000, and it may increase or decrease. It should not be a bigger problem, but this is configurable, right? I have stored it. And okay. So whenever a user is a free account, we say that we initialize the contact map as, right, every user can store only this many contacts with the number of max free contacts, which is 10,000, and the blocked contacts, which how many contacts which they can block is the max free user blocked context. So it is 1,000. It is 100, I think. Yes, it is 100 for a free user. They cannot block more than 100 numbers. That's what is the service. The next type is initializing the same context map and the blocked set to the uh, constants which are available there. And similar is the case for platinum. I'm not going to walk through the step all the code, which is easy for you to understand. I'm initializing the appropriate context size based on the category of the user. So that is when init is called. Whenever the user is registering, we are inserting into the try. It means that we have a number about the user, we know about the user, and then we are registering into the try so that this user becomes searchable to others as well. So as and when the user is initialized, I am inserting into the try. On the current context number try is also initialized, and also the global contact try is also initialized, and we are inserting the phone number and the name to the try. So the global contact and the local contact, we should be able to type our own number and get our name. That is the thing that we did here. Mm. Let us look into the next method, which is let's go to the account. After register, we go to the add contact. Okay, go to the implementation. So when after the subsequent step after registration is we will be adding the contacts, right? That's the thing that we need to do. Check and add user. Why do we need to check? For example, if you are trying to keep adding the user beyond 10,000 users, if you are adding to the I have given 10,000, probably we may limit it to 10, 5,000 or whatever number we can add, since it is configurable. When it exceeds the maximum free user or the paid user contact, we should throw an exception, because the size is exceeded. I will not be able to manage the directory for you. You please go ahead and upgrade so that you can avail a higher services as well. So this is the business requirement. We are checking whether whether we can add a contact or not. If not, we will throw an exception. Otherwise, we are putting into the context map, right? Because a map key, if already it is existing, we don't add it. If it doesn't exist, we add the phone number as the key and the entire user detail as a user. Then as and when after we insert into the try for that local user as well as the global directory as well. Whenever somebody's contact is inserted, it will go to the global directory and it will go to the local directory as well, so that as and somebody can type in their contact application, their name will get listed. Mm. This is how, as everybody adds the data or import the contact, the global directory gets updated in real time when the internet is available. We have not covered the use case of exporting the data when the internet connectivity is not available, but we have assumed here that okay, whenever they are importing, it is available, or we can also handle that. We can mark that exported equal to true or some flag. With that flag, we should be able to identify and export it to the global directory when the internet becomes available as well, enabling the user to import the contacts from the local phone application or the contacts application which they have. So those can be handled as part of the code as well, because it is easy to maintain or add some property on top of it without touching it. Adding such property is not going to affect the entire model as well, and it doesn't break the existing functionality. We should be able to do it. This can also be asked as part of an extension question, and if such questions are asked, we have modeled the classes in an efficient way, and extensibility becomes as ease as possible. Let's look into the next step and the next method, remove contact. So let us look into what remove contact does. People should be able to remove a contact as well, because I don't want to store it, or I have exceeded or time touching to the edge of my allowed contact list and I need to remove few contacts. I should be able to remove it. If the contact is null, we will say that the contact doesn't exist. Otherwise we will remove it, and from the tree also we are deleting it, so that next time when we search it is not found in local tree. We are not removing it from the global tree, because once the context is entered, it goes to global tree and it never gets removed. Okay, it can get removed only when the number becomes expired, or it is blocked, it is spammed, but we are not removing from the global context at all. We are removing from the local context, because local trie can be rebuilt as well. As and when it is required, we can reinitialize the local trie, but global trie is once for all, and it is only addition, no removal. Next is block a number. So why do we need to block a number? For example, if you think that this person is unnecessarily calling, or I don't like to receive call from this number, we can go and block the number. What it does, it uses this Bloom filter, and it adds the number to the Bloom filter. What it does, you can just go through the comments in it, and by downloading the code, it adds to the Bloom filter, and we should be able to block the contact as well. It uses certain hash functions. Based on those hash functions, it will set certain bits in the entire bit set, and thereby in a suboptimal memory data structure they should be able to store uh, uh, whether about a blocked number. So if we have 100,000 contacts, for example, if you are a business user, and or if you are a paid user, if you are having one, we can even block 100,000 numbers, right? Assume like this is the app which we want to reinstall, or whatever it is, what it takes to download those 100,000 numbers from the internet, it is going to take time. And similarly, considering that 300 million users or 100 million users are using it, so this would be a very suboptimal data structure, where it will only have 1 KB of data or 2 KB of data based on the number of blocked contacts it is going to occupy. Just refer to the memory size which is occupied by Bloom filter for different data sets or different data sizes. So it is going to be taking very less size. So that's why we used it. I don't want to repeat the same again, but this is what it is. I'm adding to the Bloom filter, and Bloom filter enables us to search that whether the number exists or not, and then block it. The next subsequent should be unblock. Since I have used a counting Bloom filter, it is not a normal Bloom filter. We should be able to remove that from the Bloom filter as well. The normal Bloom filter will not allow. It's a one-way operation. You just add to the Bloom filter and forget it. That's it. So this counting Bloom filter, I have searched in the internet to find out, okay, what are the libraries which are available as part of if you need to do remove from the Bloom filter, and that's when I used, and I have also given credits to the appropriate library as well. Please go and take a look into it. It is the implementation is very good. The next thing is reporting a person as spam. As and when we get a call and we think that the person is a spammer, we go and report it. It gets reported to our local contact, and immediately it will also go to the global, but immediately it will not be available for other, and it will not be reported to the next person as a spam. For example, sometimes people are trying to do some fraudulent activity, like not people, it is for us. If some user is trying to report this number as a spam because the person doesn't like the other person, we should it should not the that person's number should not be reported to all the people as a spammer, right? So we have a way that identified a way, come up with a way to report the person as a spammer. If 1,000 other people are, we have a number, right? That's defined in the constant maximum count to report the number as a global spam list. For example, if more than 100 people, I have used one here to demonstrate a test case, but we can use it as 100 or 1,000, saying that if more than 100 users report the number is a spam number, it means that it is a really a spam number. These all things which we need to consider as part of designing, right? That it's just told that users should be able to detect spam numbers, but how do we need to do it is based on these kind of logic. If more than 100 people with the what is the signature of reporting a spammed contact? If you see it, we have to report the number which is spam, who is the reporter, What is the reason? If 100 people report with a different telephone numbers that this is a spam number, it means that the person is a suspected spam and we are reporting it. And we also show only suspected spam, it is not a spam. So we can do some background verification on top of it, but that's not part of this um, tutorial. This is how we have come up with the simplest logic to report, and we can increase that number to from 100 to 1000 so that it is easy for us to certify that it is a global spam or a local spam. We can report our number as a local spam. Next time whenever the call comes, we need not, if even if 1000 people doesn't report, we will get alerted that this is a spam number. Otherwise, if every other person started reporting this as spam, that will also be available to the global spam filter. And we have used boom filter there as well. And what happens with that, since that is a memory optimized data structure, that bloom filter can be shipped to paid users on a daily basis with very less memory, so that their entire spam list gets updated daily or weekly or based on whatever it is. That way we can easily detect spammers in by next one day or whatever based on the configuration settings. So after reporting spam, what we need to do? Let us look into the other upgrade. User should be able to upgrade their account. So what is that we need to do with the upgrade account? There's a little more logic that we need to do, right? We have initialized the hash map into and the bloom filter size to some number, right? So what we need to do while we are upgrading, we need to reinitialize the hash map, get all the data which is available in the hash map, reinsert into a new hash map. So why we need to do it? Because anyhow, even if we reinitialize the hash map, the hash keys gets computed again. So I'm reinitializing a new hash map and adding the data from the old hash map to new hash map. That's what I am doing, and kill and making the old hash map as null, and the bloom filter also, right? So bloom filter will only help us to find whether the number exists or not, and add it or remove it, but we don't know what is the number within the in which is in the bloom filter, because hash functions are more than one hash functions are applied to the input number that we are giving, and certain bits are only set. The underlying data structure might be a bit set, so that it is very small in size and it can be shipped to everybody, right? So we don't know what is the number behind it because it is based on hashes. uh, so we need to rebuild the local bloom filter again. So for that we need, as I said, why do we maintain a set of blocked numbers, I told, right? So the set of phone numbers or blocked numbers are stored for a particular person locally, and as and when we upgrade or if that is lost, we should be able to build the local bloom filter logic from the list of blocked contacts, but it will be stored in the machine for some time, and we should be able to rebuild it, and it might not be required for us to rebuild every now and then, but whenever we upgrade we need to rebuild it, right? That is when we are using those numbers. Otherwise it is stored once for all and remain as is. So the next method is blocked. How do we need to check whether a person is blocked or not? We'll go and check from the local blocked context whether the number exists or not. If it exists, it means that it is blocked, else it is not blocked. Can receive, the next method should be can receive, whether we can receive a call from this particular number or not. That's when we go and check whether they are, because as and when the call comes, when the phone somebody is trying to reach out to us, this will decide if it is not a blocked number, and if it is not a global spam number, we can say that you can receive the call, right? Because that's when you can show that with a blue or a green color screen. Otherwise we can show it as a red color scene, or if it is a blocked number, we did not even initiate the phone application and we can only block the call and reject the call. All these things can be done, so that is why we have a method called can receive. The next is import contacts. So we have our phone application which has all the users, and we are going to add the contact. What add contact does? Add contact adds to it, and it also adds to the distributed directory as well, right? It builds the local tree, and it also adds to the distributed tree. That's what we discussed. This is what the the user's behavior, right? And we have done that. Let us look into the what is that? We look into the global spam. Global spam will expose certain methods like whether is this number is a global spam or is this number is globally blocked. We are just going to check from the spam list and the blocked list, and then find out and give it back the not the number, give a boolean result saying that whether the number is a spam, likely spam, or whether it is globally blocked number. If more than x number of people reports this as a spam, for example 100,000 people report this number as a spam number, we can even block the number for everybody as well. We can do that way. This is just a logic I have come up with, but we can re-implement the logic in the way that we think. But globally, if more than 100,000 people block a number, it means that potentially this number can be blocked for everybody because they are simply fraudster or whatever it is, right? That is how I have come up with this. So I also told that I've used try for this. This we have looked into the entire logic. Let us run our test cases. Uh, so I have come up with a particular username u1, and then I have added 13 contacts to the particular user. The first case is the user dot register. I'm creating a user, I'm registering it. Once the user is and we should be able to register a user. That's the first test case says. And for that registered user, we can add a contact, so many contacts with a particular number and a name. We may have first name, and the optional is last name. We can have a last name as well and add. So I have added 13 contacts here as part of this test case. The third test case is I'm checking the context size. So will I be able to add that many contacts? It says it should display the size. The fourth is after adding all the contacts, I am going to search for the contacts in my local directory with the prefix like PAR. If you see, we have PAR, Parvati, and Parameshwari. It should display. So let's run it and see whether the first four test cases are running fine. Mm. Okay, let's hold on for a second. I'll expand this. Okay, the contact size is 13, and that's what is the output, which for this test case. And search with PAR, it shows two names, which is Parameshwari and Parvati. It's not sorted as such, but yes, it is giving. This is where we are using the uh, try with which and listing all the users whose name starts with this particular prefix. That is this test case. The next test case is search for the contact by name which starts with GO. If since we have run it, we have check. We have two names which is Gopala. Let us check, and Govind. So we are able to find their names as well based on that prefix. The next test case is we are searching the contacts which are matching with number 9. So how many numbers are there? Let us look into it, which are starting with 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have 4 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are able to get those names. These are all searched from the local try. So this is the test case. Uh, yeah. So till test case 6a we are done with test case 6a and verified it. What does the test case 6b says? Find those numbers which are matching with 72. Let's look into what are those test numbers which are matching with 72. 1 and 2. I think these are the two numbers, and I think it should show two numbers. Yes, we are able to get that prefix. And the next test case is let's get all the numbers which are matching with the complete entire number I am giving, and it is the only one number which is 10 in digit which is available. Let us even verify this, which is starting with 66610. So we can search 6610. That's the only number available. There is no other number available in the contacts list. So we are able to search with the 6610. So the next test case would be okay. we have searched till here. The next test case is we are adding additional users whose number is this, and we are saying that the name is blocked color 1, blocked color 2, and we also had added one number which is a junk color 3, whose name is junk color 3, just to identify that whether we can block the number or not. So 39 and 45 are added, and these two numbers are blocked in our from we have blocked those two numbers. So we are going and testing that whether the particular number that we have added is blocked or not. So we should be able to check adding these three contacts and blocking these two numbers and checking whether the number is blocked or not. Yes, it is blocked. Can receive. So whenever a call comes, right, we should be able to go and check from our contact list that whether it is blocked. If it is blocked, we should not be receiving the contact. We should not be receiving the call, right? That's what the test case we saw. So we cannot receive. That is why the output is false for this test case. The second test case is we are trying to unblock the same number. Once we unblock the number, we are going and checking that whether the contact is blocked or no. It should return false. Yes, it is returning false. This is this test case. Test case 10, what it says, we are reporting and the number as spam twice. Okay, and we are going and checking whether the number is available in the global spam or not. It should say true. So as we report a number as a spammer, we should be able to send some metrics as well. How many times a number is particularly reported as a spam? It can be used in dashboards where somebody can see the real-time ticker of it, or an admin can see how many times somebody is blocking a number. Based on those metrics, we can identify whether it is a hot number and somebody is trying to spam everybody in the morning hours or evening hours or whatever it is. It will be helpful for us to identify those metrics as well. That's why I just say that send the metrics for the particular number. Here we can hook up with an API or to a metrics which is Prometheus or whatever it is, and use those metrics to build a dashboards and alert and build alerts on top of it. Even why we need to build alerts around it? If the same person is trying to report the number as a spam, block, spam hundreds of thousands of time, we need not act on top of it as well, right? So that is why we need some metrics. Wherever some certain things are required, we should be able to add metrics on top of it. The next thing that we are doing is check whether the number is blocked or not. What we told, we have modified the condition or constant that whenever more than one user report the number is spam, we are blocking it, right? So it should return true, because we are, if usually the number would be quite high. For running and executing this test case, I limited it to one. We can make it as 1,000 or 10,000. If 10,000 users or 1,000 users report that the number is spam, then only it is right. So we can have that number based on the business domain knowledge which people give it, right? These are the test cases for a particular account. Second, what are we doing? We are creating another account and we are adding this many numbers to it. We should be able to add. We also add business details to the account and say this is a large business and they are in these services. Next time when they receive the call and when they are getting the particular detail by the phone number, they should be able to get all the details, right? This is what is the use case. These are just setters. We should be able to get it as well as we set. This is a little trivial test case, but yes, we should be able to. Next, what are we doing? We are testing, as we said, whenever a user registers, we should be able to get the number from the global directory. And in this test case, we are trying to get from the global directory. And immediately after the registration, when the internet is available, assuming that internet is available, this will be pushed to the global directory. We should be able to get the name. This is a singleton instance that we are initializing because it's a local applications that we have, and we cannot have multiple instances of the same application running. So I have created a singleton instance and initialized to it. As and when we keep adding account, it gets stored over there. Assume like we can replace the singleton instance with a database, right, or a distributed big cache where we can go and store everything. That's far and beyond the scope of this tutorial. But replace the singleton with a backend data store or a data sink. Second, the next test cases we are trying to search for the contact that we have added. If you see the RAM we have added here, RAM, Rama. So we are searching in the global context with the starting letter RAM, and we should be able to find the name as well. Uh, or yeah, Rama and Ram Ganesh, right? So with the prefix RAM, we find two names in the global directory. Here we are searching in the global directory, not in the local directory. What is the next test case? We are searching in the global directory with startings with the name A. So whatever names which are started with A or just stored here will come. Also, whatever names which we have stored from the other person also should come. Assume like we have changed the name of Veena to uh, A Veena. Okay. Let us see with this case insensitive or something of that sort. I don't know, but let me run this. We should be able to get this name as well as the last output. Yes, this also comes. We can do case insensitive comparison, but this is an account one who gets registered. Account one has a contact called Avina, and account two has so many contacts. We are searching from the global contact for names which are starting with A, irrespective of whether it is coming from account one or account two. We are able to get the contacts. Thereby, we are able to utilize the complete distributed directory services. Okay, I think we have come to the end of this tutorial because we have run all the test cases. We have looked into how do we design this the distributed directory or telephone directory application like Truecaller or whatever it is. Pause the video wherever you have doubt. Have the code in parallel and look into it. Replay it. Download the source code. As you see, if there are some modifications which are required, feel free to raise a merge request against the code which is downloaded. I should be happy to accommodate it. Look into the data such as bloom filter, look into redis bloom filter, what is counting bloom filter, how can we do distributed trace. These are all important things that we need to understand where we need to use particular data structure. For example, if we need to use a local tree, if we need to find names with matching prefixes, so these are all data structures which we have touched base on. Look into all these things to be really useful. With this, we have come to the end of this tutorial, right? Thanks for your time and till we meet next time. This is Bala. If you find this video useful, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe to the channel. I will keep adding tutorials or sessions related to distributed systems, low level design, and other things. Thank you.